Most of us spend our lives in a state of perpetual coasting. We wake up tired, reach for the phone, and scroll through highlight reels, settling for a quiet, low-grade dissatisfaction that never quite reaches a crisis point. We have normalized this slow decay. Our culture encourages us to bond over fast, cheap comfort, treating a morning of brain fog and a diet of processed snacks as a relatable badge of honor rather than a sign of physical decline. We try to address this restlessness by chasing dopamine spikes. We buy into the promise that the latest consumer tech or a new $500 device will be the catalyst that finally helps us organize our lives and fulfill our potential. Relying on purchase dopamine only masks the underlying mechanical failure. We are treating the symptoms of a broken life while leaving the actual machinery of our daily routines in complete disrepair. Chronic failure in our health, our wealth, or our focus is a structural issue. These are symptoms of a system that is no longer producing the results we claim to want. To reverse this, we have to look past the surface-level emotions. We must begin to assess our behavior with the cold objectivity of an engineer examining a machine that has ceased to function. Approaching our lives as an engineering problem removes the emotional weight of moral failure. It turns the shame of stagnation into a technical challenge, providing a neutral space to begin analyzing the specific mechanics of why we are stuck. This analysis starts with a concept used to maintain stability in complex environments: control systems theory. It is the invisible logic that keeps systems from spiraling out of balance. A basic control system follows a three-part loop. It measures the current input, compares it to a preset goal, and adjusts the output to bridge the gap. Think of a thermostat. It detects the room temperature, checks it against your target, and triggers the heat until the goal is met. This logic governs everything from biological homeostasis in the human body to the lane correction software in a self-driving car. Both rely on this constant loop of input and feedback to survive and navigate their environments. Human failure occurs when this feedback loop is severed. We take an action and receive a negative result, but instead of adjusting the system, we ignore the signal and look for someone or something else to blame. A system that refuses to self-correct is a system designed to drift. Without a working feedback loop, we lose our ability to steer and eventually find ourselves miles away from the life we intended to build. We can use economic models to see why we struggle so much with processing this feedback. It comes down to where we choose to focus our attention. Most of us are obsessed with lagging indicators. These are results that only manifest after the fact. Your bank balance, your current weight, and your general mood are data points from the past. They tell you where you have been, not where you are going. Beneath those results are the leading indicators. These are the immediate, controllable inputs you execute every single day. The hours of deep work, the specific calories consumed, and the dollars moved into an investment account are the true drivers of the system. A common behavioral flaw is to stare at the lagging result while ignoring the leading input. If the daily actions flatline, the long-term results will eventually follow that downward trajectory, regardless of how much we pray for a change. We spend our energy wishing the scale showed a different number or the bank account held more zeros. We treat the scoreboard as the problem, rather than the habits that actually generate the score. It is impossible to directly manipulate a lagging indicator. Real agency only exists in the mastery of the daily leading inputs, the parts of the machine we can actually control right now. Targeting happiness as a primary goal is a mathematical error. It triggers hedonic adaptation, a neurological cycle where your brain quickly resets to a baseline of normal, requiring ever larger spikes of stimulation just to avoid boredom. This adaptation is exploited by a digital world designed to bury us in noise. Conflicting advice and infinite social feeds create a wall of static that prevents us from detecting the few signals that actually matter. Fixing the machine requires aggressive subtraction. We must reject the irrelevant data and silence the external voices until we can identify and execute the one or two leading indicators that drive the most growth. Control over our time is gained through the reduction of choices. We find real momentum by discarding the infinite options for distraction and perfecting a single high-leverage daily input. This requires a shift in your internal frame of reference. You have to stop viewing your life as something that happens to you and start viewing yourself as the operator responsible for the machine's output. In the life of a system operator, motivation is secondary. Progress is no longer a mood. It is the result of calibrated routines that function even when emotions are low. Wealth, health, and focus are notoriously difficult to capture when pursued directly. However, they become predictable consequences when the system is engineered to produce them. Correcting your control system changes the relationship between effort and outcome. When the inputs are aligned and the feedback is used to adjust the path, the life you desire follows as a logical consequence of a functioning machine.